So it appears that over the weekend, prospective Dark and Darker players were left a little surprised when they realized that the game itself was removed from Steam, and all of the information and assets and everything in Steam was removed along with it. It was wiped clean, almost like it was erased off of the face of the planet. Developers in the Discord did post a message to their fans, stating, "To all our fans, we've recently been served a cease and desist letter and DMCA takedown by Nexon regarding Dark and Darker based on distorted claims. We are currently working with our legal team to remedy this issue in the best manner possible. Due to the sensitive legal nature of the issue, we must be careful with our statements so as to not jeopardize our position. We ask that you understand as we work to get the game back up as quickly as possible. Please know that we will do all that is possible for our fans. Thanks." So that was posted Friday night, March 24th, to the dismay of a lot of players and fans of the game alike. The game itself has absolutely exploded in popularity over the last few playtests. As player numbers in Tarkov are falling, more and more people are headed over to this game because of its nature of tabletop dungeon crawling, but with a Tarkov twist, I think. Guys, welcome back to T2 Support. This is a tech channel where we talk about tech stuff, and I know that this is a gaming video, but it's in the tech space, and it's a big deal, so I wanted to talk about it today. Now, as of recording this and uploading this video, it is 3/26, March 26th, 2023, and it appears that Ironmace is swinging that big old thing back at Nexon. Now, we all know that Nexon is a piece of trash garbage company, but just to reiterate that, if we head on over to one of Nexon's most popular games, MapleStory, just real quick here, we can see that recent reviews are mostly negative, and it's an absolute riot to read. Now, normally I don't support review bombing. In fact, I think Steam's review system is one of the worst systems out there because of shit like this. People can just go in and review bomb for not liking something. However, today I am a hypocrite and I am absolutely loving that this is happening. So the latest development, if you are a part of the Dark and Darker Discord, I was not until a buddy of mine recently sent me a couple snippets of what's going on. They posted today, and they are amping up a defense to fight Nexon on the front lines, as you should. Now, in their Discord, they went ahead and they posted the cease and desist letter that Nexon has sent over to Valve about the whole matter here, and you can go through and read that if you want. I'll leave a link down in the description down below. Now, along with that, they also posted their response to the alleged stealing of assets in a Google document that you can go look through and see where every piece of asset or every piece of material came from. As you can see, a lot of these say like Lordenfell Castles and Dungeons RPG pack, and there's a link to where they purchased the assets from. Now, I did see Reddit going a little crazy Friday night, of course, as they do. They're a big fan of being an absolute cesspool over there, claiming that most likely all of these assets were stolen because of Korean company, don't trust them, blah, blah, blah. But we can see that most of the assets here were actually purchased in the Unreal Engine or where they were acquired from. Like right here, word of concept commonly found in typical medieval fantasy games. They're talking about backstab being a skill, right? I mean, just thinking about that alone, World of Warcraft has a spell called backstab, I'm pretty sure. I don't think, although Nexon would certainly try, I don't think you can copyright the word backstab, but it's Nexon, so what do I know? Now, not only that, but they are posting all over their Discord right now, and it's sounding really good, and actually some of the jabs that they're taking at Nexon are pretty hilarious. Now, I would actually point you to the Discord server to just have you kind of read over everything. I would highly recommend joining it and reading it for yourself, because I mean, if you look at the screen here, there is just a wall of information that I'm not going to read in this video. But I do want to point out a couple things, and a couple things that my buddy sent over that I think is just absolutely hilarious. So kind of this paragraph, they're explaining why Nexon is suing them, basically the work from home stuff, and they're claiming that they stole assets, although the previous page that we looked at did show that most of it appeared to be bought from the Unreal Engine store. They mention here that the takedown notice that was provided to them states that no other game had the same concept, genre, or plot. And I would argue that Tarkov is the exact same genre, right? Maybe not the same concept, but we're talking about extraction type gameplay where you go in, get loot, and extract. I'm pretty sure Tarkov popularized that genre of video game. But this is Nexon we're talking about. This is the big one that I wanted to touch on here. So the notice then states that Nexon conducted a comparative analysis. So they conducted this themselves. Keep that in mind. Of Dark and Darker and the P3 game. They state that they found 2,338 resources with identical file names between the two games, proving that the number of identical file names is too substantial for mere coincidence, unless you were also purchasing stuff from the Unreal store. Let's be honest here. So, in a positive effort, they were kind enough to list that all identical file names after removing the ones that were similar due to the usage of the same engine and appended it to Exhibit D, which is what we looked at earlier, their response to Exhibit D. Of the remaining 1,032 resources listed in Exhibit D with identical names, 950 of them are due to being identically store-bought assets. So, are Nexon claiming that they own the Unreal Engine assets just because they went in and had a credit card and purchased them themselves as well, or what? So after that, the remaining 82 identical resource files, actually 41 they say, because of file names being duplicated or other variations in the extension names, can easily be explained due to recommended file naming conventions and general conceptual names, like we talked about the term backstab. They go on to say that for clarity, much of the 3D graphic assets were purchased from the Unreal Marketplace, which we did see in that list, but many of the 2D graphic elements, including character concept art and UI, were created in-house. They go on to say that the character concepts and artwork are based on very traditional fantasy subject matter. So I think the funniest thing in the final thing that I want to talk about is the notice then states that the level and extent of the two games' key concept, genre, and storyline make it clear that Ironmace must have used Nexon's trade secrets to create Dark and Darker. Both of the concepts and storylines are purposefully traditional and generic and can be found in many fantasy games, including pen and paper RPGs, which is the main inspiration for Dark and Darker. We're talking about Dark and Darker, D&D. Talking about the premise of adventurers delving into dungeons full of monsters and treasures for their quest to seek riches is so generic and common that it can be broadly applied to numerous other fantasy games. And just for fun, they asked ChatGPT to come up with a description for a generic PvP dungeon crawling game that created an eerily similar game description. And I will leave this right here, but it says, certainly, here is a generic game description for a PvP dungeon crawling game. In this PvP dungeon crawling game, players compete against each other in a dangerous and mysterious dungeon filled with traps, puzzles, and monsters. Well, that sounds just like Dark and Darker. Players choose their character from a variety of classes, each with their unique abilities and playstyles. They must navigate through the dungeon, fight off waves of monsters, and solve puzzles to progress deeper into the dungeon. However, in addition to battling monsters, players must also face off against each other in intense PvP combat. This is Dark and Darker. This is any other PvP fantasy game that ever existed. Ever once in their lives. So finally, I guess the shared characteristics of the two games that the notice points out in Exhibit E are again easily explained by conventions found commonly in shared game genres and found in many other similar games. And I don't know where this is coming here if they're saying this, but given the information presented, it is difficult to believe that Nexon in good faith could reasonably believe that Ironmace has infringed on their copyrights for the P3 project, right? Let's keep that in mind, okay? Oh, and another funny thing too that I was sent was somebody posted in the Discord as well that Dark and Darker should implement this idea. New idea for a boss: when game comes out, a stationary gluttonous ogre named Nexon that attacks you with gold-based attacks. And I think it would absolutely be a hilarious thing to add that into the game. I doubt they will, but you know, I just think it would be a funny thing. So I would love to know your thoughts in the comments down below, what your thoughts are on the whole Dark and Darker situation. Again, this is a tech channel, not a specific gaming channel, but we did cover the Counter-Strike 2 rumor a few weeks ago that turned out to be true. And, you know, on top of tech and things like that, I'm also a big gamer, so I wanted to talk about this because Dark and Darker was on my list. And it was one thing that I wanted to add to the benchmark list when it came out for when we test new GPUs on the channel. Unfortunately, this will probably hinder the release date and the date of the next test, but it's good to know that Ironmace is out here trying to prove their innocence to the community and not just closing off and being, you know, blanket and vague about everything. Gives me massive hope that the game will get through this and eventually it will be released. Again, I would love to know your comments down below. If you like this video, I got another video right up here that I know you're gonna enjoy. I got a whole playlist of news videos right down here that you can check out. Click on one of those and I will see you when you get over there. Take care.